I have spent so much money building my dream fishing pond in my back garden, and despite all of the challenges that it's thrown at me,
You are joking.
it's just over a year since we began the project, and me and some friends have even been able to fish it. In fact, you can actually see our dear friend Mr. Carpentry randomly on this evening that we decided to record this in the background. But after all those challenges, I was starting to finally feel a sense of peace. But it was short-lived, and we now have another massive issue to deal with in the lake. And it's something that you probably wouldn't expect. See, this here in my hand is a tiny baby carp from my pond, whatever you want to call it, Kev's pool. And it's not one of just a handful, or even a bucket load full. My issue is that there are literally hundreds of thousands of these little carp now in my lake. Many of you following this journey will know that previously the biggest challenge that we've had to come is the lake leaking. Oh my god. I don't know what to say. And after finding an amazing pond expert called Kevin, we actually managed to locate the two causes of the leak, and we did our best job to repair it. And we did it! The summer is now past and the lake hasn't leaked at all, remaining at one consistent level, meaning my expensive fish no longer have to worry about not having any water to swim in, but they will have to worry about these thousands of little carp. And you might be thinking, but why? What's the problem here? Well, let me explain. Now, I'm no marine biologist. However, when a lake gets overrun with lots of little prey fish, the more fish, the more oxygen that they use. This then increases the possibility of an oxygen crash where all of the fish in the lake could suddenly belly up and die, or certainly a very high proportion of them. Even with things in place that we installed last summer, such as this aerator behind me that when switches on, fluffs up the water, artificially creating more oxygen into the lake. So as these fish get bigger and bigger, the more oxygen they're going to need to use, meaning the bigger fish in the lake, the ones that I paid all that money for, I'm putting at massive risk of dying. So how exactly have I ended up in this situation? Last November, we stocked the lake with the first 37 carp from VS Fisheries, and then in February, I topped it up with another 20, taking the total up to 57. And in the back of my head, I knew I should have put some predators in, such as perch and maybe a couple of pike. And I knew if I didn't, I may end up in the situation that I'm now left in, where I'm overrun with lots of tiny little carp. And if you remember, Mr. Carpentry, with the lake being so fresh when we put that water in, had that initial algae bloom, I was worried that if I put in all of these different fish from all of these different places, the lake and all the natural toxins and things in the water, there wouldn't be enough of it to, well, fight off anything really. But now we're a year down the line and the lake's had a chance to develop, we're kind of left in a different situation. As you've seen, all of the fish in my lake have got on really well. So well in fact that at the end of June, something started to happen. So the fish in my lake are spawning. Spawning is the process of carp laying their eggs. They do this sometime between the end of May and the end of July, depending on the conditions for spawning. See, spawning takes so much energy out of the fish as they look for areas around the lake, like all of the reeds in the margin, so they've got something to thrash up against and get all their eggs out. And what they've been using on Kev's pool is the reeds in the margin. You can see down here, they've actually ripped out already nearly several of the reeds, which is fine, I'd rather my fish be okay, as they're charging up the margin, using it to squeeze all of those eggs out. It really is an insane process to watch if you've never seen it before. Sometimes if they find something a little bit too nasty, or the fish is just old and wary, they can actually end up dying, and this is more common than not. Me and Child Labour Services actually went to a lake in Swindon and we walked around during the period that my fish was spawning and found this. Look at that. This is our little recce mission before coming to do a video on this lake, because I've never seen it before. And that is a very, very, very big carp. It is dead, yes, Louis. Now, the fishery operator has suggested that this fish had died as a result of spawning, And in that particular lake, there are quite a lot of tree branches and all kinds of things that could potentially harm them when doing so. Now, I knew we would run the risk after this of getting literally millions of eggs in the lake. But what I was hoping is that carp are actually pretty much eat anything that they can get in their mouths. We were hoping that they would do a pretty good job of basically clearing up all the eggs that they'd lay. Things like birds, we've had some coots, ducks, swans, geese, all sorts of things visiting the lake, as well as a heron who's been working very hard for me recently. Harder than child labour services. I all thought would make an impact on keeping the eggs down. However, Kevin came up with one other idea that we thought would be a great one to try and see if we could get rid of some of these eggs. And this is it. Meet my hog. This custom thing that I designed is going to be put into the lake. I'm going to put it in there in a minute, which is essentially, these are the brushes that come out of guttering. They're not that sharp on the edge, they couldn't harm the fish or anything like that. But what they're going to do is, hopefully, if my idea is going to work, it's going to work. If my idea is going to work, what's going to happen is I'm going to put this in the lake and it's going to attract the fish to spawn on it. If they spawn onto these brushes, they'll collect all of the eggs, and I can simply lift the brushes out of the water, meaning we'll be left with much less spawn in the lake, therefore having to deal with way less small fry when they actually are born. You need to hold the camera, so I need to get our glamorous assistant that started yesterday on his apprenticeship full time to come and help. So let's see if he picks up the phone. Your labour services are required for 10 minutes.
What do you need a hand?
We're putting a hedgehog brush into a lake, or like a guttering brush into a lake. When child labour services eventually makes it down here, what I'm going to get him to do is just simply hold the other end of this hedgehog brush and then walk over this corner with it, and then using 2 steel prongs, lower it in here, down into the water, going across, because the fish seem to be spawning along this left-hand margin. So it's my theory, and I'm very new to all this, but it's my theory that if they come up here and they're spawning in all these reeds, as you can see, they've literally broken all of these today, but they'll regrow, no problem with that. Then they may use those brushes to get all their eggs on and spawn across, and it really will save us the hassle of having to get out all those little fish in the future. Second channel extraordinaire, now apprentice. Yeah, if you haven't seen, Louis has come on board as our apprentice and he is going to be running the second channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that, I'll leave the link at the bottom of this video and it's on the screen now. Literally Benedict Fowler Mark II. That is the second channel for all content, not just from the fishing lake. Hello, small boy. Hello. Not just from the fishing lake, but from also everything that I get up to. Gertwings, Road to Success, the lot. You are here because the fish are spawning. We've told everybody what they're doing in the videos. They're basically having babies, but I'm not sure you're old enough to know about that yet?
No.
Okay. So, we won't be explaining that, but essentially what you're going to be helping me do is put a hedgehog brush, which is over there, into the lake, so that they hopefully can get all their eggs on it, so then we can lift it out, which means we don't have millions of little fish in the lake, or as many.
Okay.
That's spawning. That's right on cue. So basically what they're doing is splashing around in pain, essentially, having lots of children. And I'm going to try and reduce the amount of children that's going to be held. Think of me as a fisher boy. And the first part of the install was actually getting the brush rope off of the fence. Right. Ow!
Is that the t-shirt you wore when you fell off a bike?
No! Then pick up the metal stick at the other end of it. Basically, if you tighten that up, you see how they're now on the rope? Walk that way over towards where that black pipe is. It was finally time to install our hedgehog brushing in the corner over there. And to give us the energy to be able to do that, we needed some help from this week's channel sponsor, Holy. It ditches sugar, taurine and anything artificial in favour of 100% natural flavours and colours to give you a great tasting caffeine drink that's super low in calories. My current favourite flavour is the brand new Kiwi Komodo. To mix up Holy, just put 1 sachet in water or take 1 scoopful from the tub and give it your best shake. Shake it, baby! Once more, Holy is super affordable too, and if you're not convinced, just go and check out their thousands of 5-star reviews. And if you're still not convinced by Holy, just give it a go. I've left a link in the description for you to head over and get one of these starter sets, which gives you 14 sachets of Holy and one of these drinks bottles for you to enjoy your first drink. I also recommend that you grab one of their new pots of Kiwi Komodo so that you can be just about as green as my lovely new banks. So don't forget to use the discount codes appearing on your screen now. And remember, these servings are only 80p. Imagine that compared to the energy drinks that you're already consuming that are a lot more. Anyway, thanks to Holy for sponsoring this week's video. It's about time we finally get that brush in.
Silly boy, isn't it?
Oh no. Pour it down into here. Ready? Keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. Right, 3. Going this way, don't let go. We finally began lowering the hedgehog brush into the water. Gone brilliantly.
Pull it your way a bit, Louis.
We finally managed to finish off putting the brushes in the water, and within no time at all, it was actually working. Kevin came the following day to check out my amazing work and see how the fish were getting on. You watched us earlier in the video putting in yesterday the spawning brushes for them to spawn on. And look at this. They're going absolutely wild on the spawning brushes. Kevin literally walked around a minute ago and caught a little bit of footage of them just on top of the brushes, basically. So that's definitely doing what we want it to do, though.
Yeah, it's just a substrate for them to release the eggs onto. When the water level was so low, they couldn't get to the reeds. Now that the water level's up, they're using the reeds and these brushes. But you'll be able to see the eggs. You can see them already. Millions of them.
So they're using that just because it's something to spawn
Yeah,
on?
it's just a substrate for them to spawn on.
How many fish do you think we're going to end up with, little one?
10,000 eggs per fish, or per, I can't remember what it was, or per body weight.
Per fish? Millions of little carp then?
Quite a few, I would think, because you haven't got a huge amount of predators in here.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, so the only thing predating on the little fish, or the eggs, is going to be the carp.
I was too worried about putting perch in now.
Look pushing against the front like them are absolutely ideal because they've got a massive surface area. So if you imagine a piece of Elodius, a Canadian pondweed, and all the little tiny leaves that are coming off it.
Look at that, that's a big fish, that.
I ain't going to get my kit packed away, am I? I'm going to sit here for the afternoon.
But it is mad to watch. You
Sandwiches.
could easily get drawn away just watching this,
Yeah.
because it is amazing. It's the only chance, unless someone catches them, you get to actually see your
Yeah.
fish, how they look, if they're kind of healthy. But this is the time that you really do risk losing fish, isn't it? Due to just
Oxygen
basically
levels
stress.
and damage, yeah, damage from well, you can see just how
But
much they throw each other about.
But luckily in this lake there's not too much damage because there's not too much they can injure themselves
No,
on, right?
no, it's just the physical bashing into each other. You know, you might have 3 or 4 males all trying to fertilise the eggs from the female at the same time, and that's why she gets a bit abused.
So it's been a couple of days now the brush has been in the lake. It would appear that the fish have now stopped spawning. So we're going to get it out, Kev, haven't we, and have a look to see what we've got on it.
Have a little nosy.
Right. Yeah.
Probably put it out to this side. So we lifted that out, and each of those what looks like brown dots was live eggs. You might be able to smell it, but for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know whether it's the volume of clay particles that were in the water. You can see there they're actually going mouldy already. That's all the individual eggs.
Yeah.
But those eggs, any eggs that are white, basically are already dead. And those eggs should still be clear. Like maybe 1 or 2 are, I can't get them off there.
Yeah, but the majority ain't.
But those on my finger that are white, they're already dead. And they should still be clear now. There is the odd one, but yeah, I think you probably need to liaise with.
That's not good then. So the risk is that these mouldy eggs could cause the water to have an oxygen crash.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Or just make the water bad in some way and make the fish struggle a little bit.
And I've never seen it before, and I'm not quite sure why or what has caused it, but you can see this now, this sort of cobwebby bit, that's actually mould forming. You can see that, that's all mould. Really, that should all be, might be able to show you. See that, there's one there, right by my thumbnail. Just an individual egg that's all nice and clean and on its own, and that's how they should all be. And one just there, look, right on the end of that. Oh, on the end of that one strand, where my finger is, there's one little egg just sat there, and that's how all the eggs should look.
Alright, well, I think the only thing for now then is to get the aerator on, because fish are mega active today. They're all over the surface, they look like they're gasping, but they do that when it's hot and it's all calmed down. They're no longer splashing in the edge or anything like that. Let's call Viv. Let's call Viv at VS. I gave Viv a ring and he said that it really wasn't anything to worry about and it was actually quite natural. So we left that be, and a week later Kevin came back and we made a crazy discovery.
You're going to need a stock pond soon. Have you seen how many millions of babies you got?
No.
I told you you wouldn't have seen them. I spotted them straight away. Mate, there's thousands, tens of thousands.
Over there.
Of what?
Well, babies. Every single one of these little dimples you can see is a fry.
No.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds, Ben.
Oh my god, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to, it's this big. Down in there.
There's one on the surface there, look, dark. It's all about that one at the top.
In a black cloud, Kevin said over there. I was
There's
with him.
so all those
them
little
dimples are all fry.
I've got to
You
get
wait
some
till you have a
perch in
look
here.
around the other side.
So I've got to get some perch in here a little
Well, if
bit
you don't want
sharpish
them-
then.
Look, there's thousands then.
Well, I don't want them, no.
Won't
You can see them everywhere.
won't the big fish eat them anyway?
They will eat some, but not as many, not as quickly as
Perch will.
the little frog. There's a whole shoal of them.
Oh my god, there's loads.
I was excited.
Predatory allowance in the lake. We have to have some predators to keep a balance to make it all natural, because otherwise you're not going to be able to move for fish in the lake, you know, and
What
then all the
kind
big
of
ones will
I was
die.
going to say,
There is thousands there. If you look, now that we're
They look like parasites.
now they've all come up to the top. There is literally thousands. There's a massive shoal of them.
is
That's
that
just
one there?
yeah. There's loads there. There's about 20 or 30 there. That's just an absolute tiniest little
glasses.
pinprick of what's actually in there.
It's just insane.
It's a nightmare. Right, I need to be thinking about where I get my perch from then. Oh, they didn't pick up the guys down in Kent, and now I found these ones on an online store, and they won't even sell them until November. So I tried again. So those perch, are they not going to be available till November then? There's nothing you can do. Okay, thank you. And again. Coming back in. November, yeah. Okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you. So I have tried literally every single perch supplier on the internet I can possibly find. I've even got to the point where I've been looking at online stores where I found perch on online stores and none of them have any stock and they can't supply them to the end of the year. There is a bit of a no-no in the world of supplying fish, that people shouldn't supply them in the warmer months, and it's only a kind of a colder month when the fish are a lot slower thing to do. But with all of those little fish in my lake, if I don't get some sort of predatory fish in there to start munching through them while they're kind of that big, rather than sort of that big, then I'm gonna have a real problem. So I think I might, on this occasion, although potentially frowned upon just a little bit, to protect my expensive fish, just have to call in a favour from a friend in his lake and potentially have some of his perch. So let's see what I can do. So even though I've been having a little bit of issues acquiring some perch, well, it's desperate times now. Desperate times do call for desperate measures. So down here in this convenient little bag, I have managed to acquire 10 perch. I know there's a comment section, but don't ask any questions. So let me show you what a perch actually is. And there's some different kind of coloured ones. They're really rough skinned, just quite sharp. Look, oi oi. So yes, even though I only have 10 perch in this bucket, it was a better start than nothing. And then hopefully when it gets to the winter, it will mean that I can have some more. This right here is a perch, which is about to come out my hand. It's quite a rough skinned, very sharp, miniature predator fish. They live for about 4 years, around about 4 years, and in the UK, you've got zander, perch and pike. They're the 3 top predatory fish that live in kind of lakes and rivers. You don't tend to find zander in many rivers, but what you do find is perch in rivers, lakes, reservoirs, lochs, everywhere across the country. They are absolutely solid. They grow to about 4 pounds in weight, and these little creatures are going to be my new soldiers in there to eat these. So, I think it's about time we introduce our first creature into the lake. I'm going to call you, with your green skin, the Hulk. Ready? Imagine if it just bellied up then. That would have been so bad, wouldn't it? Dead. Anyway, they're sharps, you've got to hold them right. That's a mad colour, that. Hang on, let me try and get one of the darker ones. The thing about perch is they can have quite sharp fins, so I was being careful to pick them up, making sure I didn't acquire any cuts. However, there was something slightly different about these perch to ones that I'd seen before. Filming?
Yeah.
So what's crazy is look at the difference between the colour of these 2 perch. I've never even noticed when I've caught perch when I'm a kid, on maggots and worms and stuff. But look at that. One's almost like albino in colour and this one's almost a lot darker. That's how I'd know a perch to be, but we have got some that are a little bit lighter too. So look at them, they're running away. Go get them. Oh, he swam into the bank, that one. Not a great start. You go get them. Yeah. Welcome to your new home. Right, the last perch. Is it the last perch? Hey Mum, would you like to see the last perch? So it's now been over a week since we put those first 10 perch in the lake right here. And they've definitely been getting to work. So I've noticed that the little bait fish, the little small carp in the shoals around the edge have become a lot more spooky. And we've even seen them kind of darting about across the surface like they're being chased by something, which are probably those perch, as they are very predacious fish. So hopefully they start to make a dent in these thousands of little carp that are in Kev's pool to claw back some oxygen for the bigger fish. As we get towards the end of the year, hopefully that means that we'll be able to purchase some more perch, probably from a fish farm, and I'll probably have to think about getting a few pike to control the perch. But if you're impressed at the lengths that we went to in today's videos to make sure the fish weren't harmed from spawning, to make sure I've sorted out my problem with all the little fish that we've had from spawning, then please do consider and take a minute to hit that subscribe button and just drop a like on today's video. It helps more than you would know. But for now, thank you for watching this video and we will see you next time in the next one. So peace out and don't forget to buy yourself some holy. Chasing a heron! Get off my land!